So it's been roughly 4 months since the launch of Battlefield 2042, and yesterday an update was released to the game that introduced a major feature that lots of players had been asking for, a proper scoreboard. This had been referred to as a legacy feature by the Battlefield team in the past, because they updated the scoreboard and released with something very different than what most Battlefield players expected. And based on that community feedback, DICE has now released an updated version of the scoreboard, which you can see on the screen. I think it still looks quite different to previous Battlefield scoreboards, and it takes up quite a lot of space on the screen, although it's probably something that I just need to get used to. I'm still not sure why we've got the element over on the left-hand side anymore. I don't really think that's necessary. I've said before we could move the ribbons over into the escape menu and have them there instead, and then having a more classic look to the scoreboard, like Battlefield 4, might be better going forwards, but this is the Battlefield 2042 scoreboard, and at the very least, the team are working on things that the community wanted to see, which is good. One slightly disappointing element of this scoreboard update is that you can't access the scoreboard during the end of round flow, which in previous Battlefield games is where I'd be checking the scoreboard most at the end of the round. I'm not playing anymore, I want to see where I came compared to maybe my friends that I'm playing with, or a player that I kept running into on the server. Did I beat that player or not? I can't access that information at the end of round. That is coming in the April update, so another month to wait for that feature, but it's again good that it's been identified and it will be updated. I think update 3.3 would have been a really good update to Battlefield 2042 if the game didn't have multiple other issues. An update to the scoreboard based on community feedback, the DICE team taking on the opinions of the player base and implementing those to improve a feature that clearly wasn't good enough at launch. That would have been a great update. But unfortunately, we've got a lot of other problems in the background bubbling away that still haven't been addressed and will take some time before they are addressed. We know that Season 1 for brand new content coming to this game isn't happening until that rough time frame of early summer 2022. And just a few days ago, we got a blog post giving us loads of information about how DICE plans to update the base game maps to improve the general gameplay. And they used Kaleidoscope as a highlight, and then they said that they plan for these updates to arrive midway through Season 1 only for that map. That means that there's still a long way to go, really, until we see significant updates to Battlefield 2042 to bring it up to a level where it probably should have been at launch. If DICE is working on a map-by-map basis to improve the base game maps, there are still 6 others beyond Kaleidoscope. It's going to take a significant amount of time before all of those base game maps are really at a level that people expect when it comes to core Battlefield gameplay. And that's not to mention the new map that's supposedly coming with Season 1, which is already being adapted, according to the blog post, to make the changes that are being made to the base game maps so that things feel better than what they would have done if the map had launched in the state that all the base game maps launched in. With an update like 3.3, which implements this scoreboard fix and adds a couple of skins for Gold and Ultimate members to sort of say sorry for delaying Season 1, it was never going to bring back the hundreds of thousands of players that Battlefield 2042 has supposedly lost so far. If you look at the Steam charts numbers, which is obviously only for the Steam platform, that doesn't include Origin or the consoles, but it gives you sort of like a yard marker for where the game is sitting. The numbers are incredibly low for a Battlefield game at this point in its life cycle, and I don't think an update like 3.3 was ever going to bring back all of those players anyway. There's just not enough substantial here to really re-engage a lot of those players. Having said that though, I am getting more and more concerned about the length of time that it's going to take to bring these fixes, these changes, the new content, the improved content that DICE is working on, the amount of time that it's going to take to deliver that. I'm concerned that there won't be that many people left waiting for a moment where all of that is launched. If you look at what's happening at the moment, DICE making commitments to change the base content and improve it over time, whilst also pushing back Season 1 so that they can make changes to that so that the experience is better. You can see what they're trying to do. They're sort of moving the start date down the road so that all of these implementations can be made, and then when Season 1 goes live, they feel the game is going to be in a much better position. It sounds like a really good position to be in, and I think I said a couple of months ago when this delay was first announced that I would rather they delayed it and got it right than continue to release content in the meantime that wasn't really meeting player expectations. A couple of months down the road and learning that it's going to take several more months to improve one of the base game maps, I'm not sure these timescales are really going to work for DICE if they want to bring players back to this game en masse. In a lot of the blog posts and in the marketing campaign before the launch, it was mentioned several times that DICE wants to support this game for years to come in the future, but there is part of me that thinks that if there's no players around playing the game, it costs a lot to keep the thing moving, to keep servers running, to continue to make content available for the players that are playing the game. There's got to be a tipping point, right? There needs to be a certain amount of players engaging with the game and playing it on a regular basis to justify having a development team there, making content for it, keeping servers live, and generally trying to keep the game moving forwards in a way that people will continue to want to play it. And I'm concerned that there were massive visions for this game, having loads of players for years into the future, a little bit like Battlefield 4. Had a rough start, but had a huge tail to it with just millions of players over those last couple of months. It was kind of insane, that redemption arc for Battlefield 4. I think DICE had the similar kind of idea in their head for Battlefield 2042, just without a terrible launch, but unfortunately that happened again. So where's the tipping point here? They want to support the game for years to come, and to be fair, they have already sold support for 1 year's worth of seasonal content, because that was included in the Gold and the Ultimate Edition, so they'll have to support the game for some period of time, but how far in the future are we really talking? And to be honest, is it really going to be worth it? If there aren't that many players and no one's really interested in playing the game and they don't really see an uptick in the player numbers over time, will they just pull the plug on it again, like they did with Battlefield 5? Who really knows at this point? In the short term, at least for me, I'm not going to be coming back to Battlefield 2042 because, in my opinion, there's just not enough in this update to really re-engage me as a player. There's no major bug fixes happening here. There's no major gameplay improvements. We're not seeing any of those updates to maps yet. So it's relatively just the same game that it was a couple of months ago, with a scoreboard and an extra skin because I bought the Ultimate Edition. For me, that's just not enough to re-engage me. There's nothing exciting me here to come back to Battlefield 2042. I'm having a lot of fun playing Warzone with my friends at the moment, and I'm actually considering going back and regularly playing some of the older Battlefield games like Battlefield 1, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 5 maybe, even though I didn't really get on with that game either. It does largely still feel like a Battlefield game, especially when you compare it to Battlefield 2042. So I'll still be playing Warzone, and I'm going to consider going back playing some of those older Battlefield titles to get my fix. I was kind of just willing to walk away from Battlefield again until there was a big seasonal update, but there's something that keeps pulling me back and checking up on this franchise because I really like Battlefield and I want it to succeed, but I think it's going to take too long to solve Battlefield 2042's problems unless DICE can start turning around some of these fixes really quickly and start implementing new content on a timely basis. I'm not sure Battlefield 2042 will be in a position to recover. I'd love it if it did. I'd love the redemption arc to come back and players surge back to this game and we all start enjoying it because all of the changes came in that players wanted, but with my head on, it just doesn't seem feasible in the state that it's in at the moment. I'll continue to check in on the game and I'll continue to post updates on this game as they come through. DICE has already mentioned there will be an April update to look forward to, and I think there's going to be some weapon balance changes there, updates to how the different attachments work with the guns. So I think that will definitely be something to check up on. But at least for the short term, I'm not going to be coming back to Battlefield 2042. But that's really about it for today's video. I just wanted to bring you an update on what's going on here with this game at the moment. If you are actually enjoying Battlefield 2042, drop a comment down below, let me know how you're getting on with it. I don't begrudge anybody enjoying a game if that's what they enjoy, but I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that are like me that are kind of just waiting to see what happens with Battlefield 2042. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, there will be a tipping point, not just for DICE supporting the game, but also players completely losing interest in 2042 and never really considering returning. So any and all thoughts down below in the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking. But thanks very much for watching. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one.